Did you know 1 in every 6 people of reproductive age experience infertility in their lifetime? Did you even know that a man right now has half the sperm count that his grandfather had? It's even more scary. Did you know that a woman right now in her 20s is less fertile than her grandmother was at her 35 years? Well, did you know that we have a 1% per year decline in sperm concentration in men? Did you even know that right now the rate of decline of testosterone in men is increasing, while at the same time you have an increase in miscarriage and pregnancy loss in women? Well, it is all happening with the rate of erectile dysfunction in men increasing. Did you know that an average family right now is having 2.4 people, which is half the number that was in 1960? Well, someone might argue that it is for Western countries. It is even worse for East African countries, that we have a decline in the number of people living in a family, because we are starting from a higher number when you come to us, the East African countries. Well, all that brings us to infertility. Infertility, because every patient you see right now, almost always, most of them have come for infertility. Well, WHO defines infertility as a disease of the male or female reproductive system that is defined by the failure to conceive after regular unprotected sex that is of 12 months or more. Well, it is now a disease, you can quote that. Well, there are so many factors that is bringing about this infertility. We can look at the generalized factors for a community, a society, a country, or we can look at individualized factors affecting single individual. When we look at the generalized, we can say we have the environmental and the genetic factors. The genetic factors is so much debatable, because we have a research by Dr. H. Shanna Swan. Dr. H. Shanna Swan and her team discovered that between the year 1972 to 2011, the sperm concentration in Western men reduced from 99 million per milliliter to 47 million per milliliter. That's a period of 39 years, meaning we have about 1% decline per year. From the year 2011 to now, 2004, we expect it to be below 47 million per milliliter, which makes conception and reproduction more difficult. So this decline, where we have about 50% in 50 years, that is too rapid for us to consider evolution. So we may want to put the genetic factors aside, and we look at the environmental factors. The environmental factors, we have those we can control and those we cannot control. Well, the one we can control, we can call them lifestyle. We have the excessive smoking, excessive taking of alcohol, we have the obesity, we have stress. Those are factors we can control, and at the same time, those are factors that bring about difficulty in conceiving and reproduction. Then we have the environmental factors. We cannot control them, and it is bringing a lot of problems. There we can look at the chemicals. These chemicals that reduce our reproductive hormones. These chemicals that we are calling endocrine hackers. These chemicals that we are calling endocrine disrupting hormones or chemicals. Well, you may want to know how these chemicals affect. I can give you a brief history that after conception, during the first trimester, that is where we have our reproductive system being laid down in the fetus. We are saying initially, this reproductive or genital tract is identical for both the male and female. Both sexes, it is identical. But then we have the testes releasing testosterone at a certain critical time. Then we have the few testes that will start making this testosterone hormone, and now the undifferentiated genital tract will respond. If the genital tract is genetically male, it will respond and then develop to become a typical male with all parts. But then we have where the testosterone is less or it is late. This genital tract will not complete the process. We may end up with a default which will become a female. Well, it is laughable that a woman is actually a default. But now, the main point here is that if a male does not get enough testosterone at the right time, this male will not finish his journey to become a typically well-developed genetical male, and we end up with an incomplete or a less mascularized male, or we may end up with a female. So this is how these chemicals all come to be very important in this case, where we have chemicals that affect the levels of testosterone of a male in the fetal state. The end result is what brings about infertility. So we have so many examples of these chemicals. We have the phthalate, which is so abundant in our daily lives. You can't avoid it. We have the BPA, that is the bisphenol A. Then we have flame retardants. We have PDFE. We have pesticides. We have PCB. We have polyaromatic hydrocarbons. We have dioxins. We have phytoestrogens. Maybe we start from phthalates. Phthalates is an ester, or someone may say it is a salt of phthalic acids. Now these are things we use as plasticizers. They are added to plastics. It can be added to increase their flexibility, like in rubber tubings. Can be added to increase transparency. Can be added to increase durability of plastics. Or it can be used to soften polyvinyl chlorides, like in clothes. We have the bathroom curtains, we have raincoats, we have boots. All those have phthalates. Even our cosmetics and personal care, they are used to retain scent and color in these cosmetics and personal care. Like we have the lipstick, we have the soap, the laundry soap, we have nail polish, we have lipstick, we have air fresheners, like almost everything in our personal care. Phthalate is part of it. Even in our creams, they are used to increase absorption. Creams are meaning the lotion, because you realize when you apply lotion, you rub and it is nowhere. Phthalate increases that absorption. Phthalate is used to still further increase absorption, even in pesticides. Then we have in foods, we have seen research showing that all foods that pass through phthalates carry phthalates in them, and that phthalate goes up to our body. For example, we have milking of cows, that is these milking machines being used. They have the rubber tubings that is used, that is made of phthalate, and research has shown that cows that are milked using this milking machine, the end product is that we have phthalates more in the milk, and when consumed, there's a visible effect in our bodies. Well, all that brings out what we call phthalate syndrome. In phthalate syndrome, there's not so many syndromes that is diagnosed at birth. That's why we are taking interest. The one mostly known is the alcohol fetal syndrome. But then we have the phthalate syndrome diagnosed at birth. What are we saying? We are saying that phthalates are anti-androgens. When exposed or when they come into contact with androgens, they decrease their concentration. Decreasing their concentration disrupts the development of male, basing on the history that I just told you. So let's look at what research is saying. Still, I'm going to quote for you Dr. Shanna H. Swan and her team doing a research. This was a 2005 study, that when a pregnant rat is exposed or is fed with phthalates, it gives birth to offsprings that are having smaller genitals in general. Then we have they have testes that are less descended. Then penis size is reduced, and the entire region of their genital is reduced. We should note that in every animal, there's always a 50 to 100% smaller size of female genital compared to male. But now these rats fed with phthalates, there's something more important, that we are having a decreased anogenital distance. Anogenital distance is the distance from the anus to the genital. It is decreased, and we take interest in that because this decrease is associated with genital tract birth defects like the undescended testicles, penis defects like hypospadia, where the opening of the penis is on the underside, not at the tip. Then we have such an individual is most likely to get testicular cancer at a young age, and they almost have low sperm count compared to their other counterparts, and this is always associated with subfertility. Yes, this research has shown that it is the same as in human beings. So exposure of a male fetus to phthalates will result into all these abnormalities, that when a mother is pregnant, you cannot limit what she gets exposed to. It is worse during her first trimester. The lipstick, all that which has phthalates, the perfumes, the nail polish that has phthalates. When they get when the mother consumes and then it gets exposed to the fetus at an early age, first trimester, during the development of the sexual or reproductive system, all these are likely to happen. Well, it is that scary. Maybe I can take you to the next thing, is pesticides. Pesticides, we have a BBC documentary still with Dr. Shanna H. Swan, which was named Fertility Crisis. Is modern life making men infertile? Well, during this research, Dr. Shanna H. Swan with her team discovered that men the men in the West, men who were living in agricultural states like Missouri, in which pesticides are used rampantly, or they are used in large quantities, were having half the sperm concentration compared to men who were living in non-agricultural states like the Minnesota. These men that research was done on them were not actually agricultural men. They were not doing the farming themselves. They were simply residents of the area, but were being affected by the pesticides that was being used in the agricultural farms. So that is how much pesticides are affecting us. Well, maybe we can go to the next. Is we have flame retardants. Flame retardants can be seen in fire extinguishers. Then we have PTFE. These ones are used as coatings in the non-sticky frying pans. We have water repellents. We have peppers. We have coverings that keep oil off, like on pizza boxes. So you find that we are in constant contact with these chemicals. Then we have BPA. BPA is bisphenol A. Bisphenol A, these are phenols that make plastics hard. It is an opposite of phthalates. And then for them, instead of focusing on the testosterone, their main effect we see it in estrogen, that they increase the levels of estrogen. And we know what happens with the increase in estrogen. In men, gynecomastia. Bigger breasts, you develop bigger breasts like men. Then obesity. Well, all these are found, BPA is found in things like lining of tin cans, like canned food. We have tooth sealants, the ones dentists use. We have BPA found there. We have pizza boxes. We have plastic water bottles. We have the baby feeding water bottles. So we cannot avoid them. And all these have these materials have these chemicals in them. And these chemicals, we are saying, they are associated with infertility. Well,